Welcome to Excel Consult Services. This training on Excel update is brought to you by Excel Consult Services, also known as Career Skills Services. In this particular training, we'll be looking at one of the tools that is used in data analysis. Data analysis today is a very powerful tool to every business that is used to analyze the data of the business, because it makes the business to know the future and to know how the business is doing currently, and it helps the business to answer a lot of questions that needs an answer, and it becomes a guide to a business for the present and for the future. It helps business to solve a lot of problems. That is why the skills of data analysis today is on high demand for every business. So we are going to look at one of the tools in data analysis, which is a Power Query. So we are going to look into the Power Query today. To enroll or to become an expert in data analysis, enroll today with us to get your training on data analysis in Microsoft Excel, Oracle SQL, and MS SQL. Now you know how to use Microsoft Excel to do data analysis. You know how to use Oracle SQL to do data analysis, you can also learn on how to do data analysis using Microsoft SQL. As I said earlier on, today we'll be looking at the Power Query, which is one of the powerful tools that is used in data analysis today. The question now is, what is Power Query? And how can we enable the Power Query now in Microsoft Excel? Now, as you can see, this particular Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, when you click on this, we have the Power Query. Now, Power Query in Microsoft Excel can be included in Microsoft Excel menu tab as an add-in in Microsoft Excel. For Microsoft Excel 2010 and 2013, the Power Query menu can be added as an add-ins, just as this name implies, add-ins. You simply go to Microsoft Excel website and you look for add-ins, Power Query add-ins. And once you download that, it will be automatically added to your Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. But for Microsoft Excel 2013 and 2016, it is included as one of the menus of Microsoft Excel, and you can find that under the data menu. And what part of the data menu, you can find it along the side, Get Data. You can see this Get Standard Data, that we can it becomes one of the group in Microsoft Excel 2013 and 2016. So the question is, what is Power Query? Now, Power Query is one of the powerful BI tools or powerful intelligence tools that is used for data analysis in Microsoft Excel. Power Query helps us to get data from various sources and load the data into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, and it is used to transform and preparation of data, and you can present this data in the format or transform this data in the particular format that you actually need the data. So it helps to bring data, load data from various sources into Microsoft Excel, helps in preparing this data, cleaning this data, and to transform this data for various use in Microsoft Excel. So the question is, what can we do with Power Query? The Power Query can help us to get data from various sources, we load the data, and can help to transform the data. As you clean the data, you prepare the data. After the transformation of the data, you can now help you to load the data into Microsoft Excel screen. For instance, this is the data that is loaded into Microsoft Excel screen. So Power Query helps you to get the data. This is the Power Query menu that I've got into the add-in, and you can see the various commands in Microsoft in Power Query. Like you can see, we have how many groups? We have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups. That's the help group in the last, where you can search for any information about the particular topic of Power Query you need to understand. You have the Power BI. You already have the Power BI tools here. Then we have the Get External Data. This is the first group. The second group is Excel data. The next is to combine. The next is workbook queries. The next is settings. So these are the various groups that make up the Power Query menu. Now to get data for Power Query, now you can get data from the web. These are various sources where you can get data into Microsoft Excel through Power Query. So once you click on that, once you click on from web, Microsoft Excel brings out the from web dialog box. All you need to do is to copy the URL of that particular website, and you click on this. When you copy the URL of that particular website and click on this, and you click on OK, Microsoft Excel will just automatically import the data. For instance, once I click on this particular, I copy, Ctrl+C to copy, and I bring it down, and I click Ctrl+V to paste. The moment I click on OK, if I'm connected to a website and I have a particular data I want to import, I click on OK. The moment I click on OK, Microsoft Excel will import. The Power Query will import the data into Microsoft Excel. Currently, I'm not online and there's no data there to copy. So if that's the first way, if you want to copy data from Microsoft Excel, also we can get data from Microsoft Excel itself. We can get data from the text or CSV file, extended markup language file, and from the folder. We can also import data. Also, we can import data from various sources. Other sources we can import data into Microsoft Excel. So these are the various ways we can get data into Microsoft Excel. For instance, if I want to get data from this text file, I need to click on that. When I click on that, I go to where my particular document is being saved, or my particular file is being saved. I go directly to where I saved it. I go directly to where I saved my particular document. I clicked on it and I looked for the document I want to click, and I double click on that. When I double click on that, Power Query will load the data into Microsoft Word, but not just automatically. Now you can see it gives me information about the data I want to load. You can see it's telling me about the types of document I want to load. It gives me this document is separated by a delimiter. It also tells me the number of rows I have on this document. Now, if I'm okay with this data, all what I need to do is to click on load. If I want to load the data to any other part of the Excel spreadsheet, I click on it. But if I want to edit the data, I click on the edit button. If I don't want to continue to load the data again to Microsoft Excel screen, all I need to do is to click on cancel. For instance, when I click on load, it automatically loads the data into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Now you can see it created a new sheet. Why this was sheet 4 that I opened previously, it included the data into this particular sheet. Now this is a Power Query window. Additional menu are being created, the merge and the append. menu. So those are additional menus that is being created, and we have the Power BI to them. Now, this particular window here, or this particular part of the screen is called the ribbon. This is called the ribbon, or this is called the ribbon. But when I click on it again, it collapses the ribbon. Now this is called the formula bar. This is called the formula bar. Whatever is being done here, it displays here. Remember I said this is called the ribbon. All this part calls the ribbon. So the moment I click on it again, it collapses that. This is called the data preview, or this is called the data preview or data preview. Now the data editor was where it loaded the data into that. I click on edit. That's the data editor. Why this is called the properties? Why this is called the properties? There's another part here that talks about the steps. Whatever steps I take, for instance, I decide to click on this and I go to remove this query from the workbook. It totally deletes the query. Now that's the property. This is a property, the Power Query property. Then we have the query editor. Now this is the editor. This was where it was loaded previously. So this is the Power Query editor. This is the editor. So that's the Power Query editor. So and that is the Power Query editor. Then for instance, so those are the various parts of the Power Query. So now the next thing we are going to see how can we load data into Power Query. The different ways we can load data into Power Query. Click on the Power Query. You click on the Power Query in case you have the Power Query add-ins. These are add-ins in Power Query, though it's not displayed here as one of the add-ins, but these are add-in in Power Query that I downloaded from Microsoft Excel. But if you are using Microsoft Excel 2013 and 2016, you see the Power Query under this particular group. Instead of get external data, it will be get data. You see the Power Query there. Now we can load data into the Microsoft Excel using the Power Query from various sources. I've said we can load data from the web, or what you need to do, you click on that and it brings it from web dialog box. You copy and paste the URL and click on OK. The Power Query simply import the data into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Also, we can load data from all the sources. You can load data from Microsoft Excel itself, from Microsoft Excel worksheet. You click on that and you locate the Excel file. Now this is one of the Excel files, so I can click on this. But when I click on this, that's a Microsoft Excel file. Now this Microsoft Excel workbook have different sheets. So Microsoft Excel is going to ask me which of the sheets do I want to import. If I want to import all, I click on this. It imports all the sheets into Microsoft Excel. If I want to import a particular sheet, all I need to do is just select the particular sheet I want to import. Now it's telling me that this particular table is empty. Now you can see for sheet 4 we have a particular word, we have data in a particular sheet. So when you click on this, it says all those are empty. The only way we have data is only on sheet 4 we have data. So if I want to go into edit, I click on edit. If I want to load, I click on load that particular data into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And Microsoft Excel loads the data automatically into this particular sheet. Now I have sheet 5 before. Now you can see, because I loaded up to 4 sheets into the spreadsheet, you can see it was only sheet 4. It was only this particular sheet we have data. So we can see sheet 7, sheet 6, and sheet 5. This is where it was before. So let's simply delete this off the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Let's delete it off. There is nothing there. So that's how to load a data into using the Power Query. That when you load the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Now that's the first type of data we can load using the Power Query into Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. We load data from other Microsoft Excel worksheets, workbook or worksheets. So now that is that. There are also we can also load data from other sources to Microsoft Excel. We can load data from the text of CSV file. You click on that and you can see most of this is a text of CSV file. Once I click on any of this, Microsoft Excel brings out the screen. Now, when Microsoft Excel brings out the screen, if I want to edit, I click on edit. If I want to load, I click on load. When I click on this option, Microsoft Excel is going to tell me where do I want to load this data. Where do I want to paste this particular data? Do I want to paste it? And it will select how you want to view this data in your workbook, as a table or only as a connection, and where do you want it on a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. If I want the data to be pasted on this particular worksheet, I click on the existing worksheet and I click on this. When I click on this and I start to click where do I want the data to appear, from where do I want the data to appear, from column 7, I click on OK. If I want the data to still appear there and I want it to appear from a table, I click on OK. And you can see the selected range is for invalid table cannot overlap a range. You can see, because I already had the table here, Microsoft Excel cannot overlap it on a new table. So it's better we use a new worksheet and we click on that. Microsoft Excel brings out the data on a new worksheet. Okay, let's quickly look at another way we can load in data. We can load in data into Microsoft Excel from import data. We also import from the word a folder. We can also import data from any of these. So also import from online, we can import data from Facebook and the rest of them. You can also import data from any of these sources, where we can also import data into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. We've seen how we can import data into Microsoft Excel from different types of sources. We've also seen how we can import a single document. You can see how we can import a single sheet into Microsoft Excel and multiple sheets, or you can see how we can import a single, and we have seen how we can import data from Microsoft Excel from various sources, from a single source and from a multiple source. Now let's go through the particular example again. When you click on the Power Query, and then you go to the file. For instance, let's assume I want to import data from Microsoft Excel. I click on that. When I click on that, Microsoft Excel brings out a pop-up dialog box where I can pick where my data comes in from. My data are located in this. Let me use the whole file. Now I want to get data from this Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. For this particular Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, I double click on that. When I double click on that, Microsoft Excel bring out the data in that particular sheet. Now this is importing data into Microsoft Excel from a single sheet. All I need to do is to click and load the data into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Now this is importing data from a single sheet into Microsoft Excel. Now we can also import data from a multiple sheets into Microsoft Excel. I also import data from multiple sheets into Microsoft Excel. For instance, I want to import. But when I click on this, I'll have the option to be able to select the sheet I want to import into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet using the Power Query tool. Now you can see when I click. So let's use a blank Excel worksheet. Now let's delete this. Don't save. Now I want to use a blank Microsoft Excel spreadsheet so we get to understand this better. Click on the Power Query, click on this, click on that. Okay, then we go to the Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. We want to load this the same. We'll double click on that. When we double click on that, we'll select the sheets we want to load into Microsoft Excel. We want to load this. We want to load this. We want to load this into Microsoft Excel. And this and this. Then all we need to do is now click load. Now Microsoft Excel automatically loads all that into the Microsoft Excel sheets. Now we can see the data we have in Microsoft Excel. Once you double click on that, you can see the data loaded into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So now let's load the data into the Excel spreadsheet. Now let's go to the Power Query. You go to the From File, you click on Import. Then when you click on Import, you go to where the data is located. You scroll down to the data. I want to load this Excel for accountants. I double click on this. Then when I double click on the Excel, bring out the workbook. Now in this particular Excel workbook, Excel for accountants 2, I have multiple sheets there. So I click on select multiple items if I want to import multiple sheets. I select select the sheets I want to include in my Excel spreadsheets. Once I'm done with that, all I need to do is go to this part of the Excel part of the editor screen. This is the editor. This is the editor, the Power Query editor. Click on this. Then when I click on load, it's going to display similar thing that was displayed previously. Now all will be displayed here. This is the workbook, this is the query. So when you click on any one of them, it will pop up. When you click on any one of them, it will pop up. But when you place your mouse pointer there, it will pop up. But this is not exactly what I want to do. I want to load this into the Microsoft Excel screen. Let me press Ctrl N to get a new Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Then click on this. The moment I click on this, I double click on this. I want to import this directly into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So I select the sheets I want to import. So once I'm done selecting data formula, I click that last. Then I click on this and I go load to. Now I'm going to tell the Power Query where to load the sheet to. Now I have to select how I want to view the data. The moment you click on load to, my Power Query brings up the load to dialog box. I want to view it in form of what tables and not what connections. Now, when you click on this connection, it will appear at this part of the screen just as connection. It will appear at this part of the screen just as connection. That's what came up the previous time. But once I click on this, I type out Excel. I want to see it as a new table. Click on load. Microsoft Excel, Power Query immediately loads the data into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Now you can see the data loaded into the Excel spreadsheet. You can see all the old data because I didn't make use of the load tool. The government should make use of connections to bring out what came up previously. The way use of the connections, it will only create the connections among the table. So it will only create connections, to only give those connections. So I go to this, when I click on it to bring out the connections. When I click on this, the connection is only connection, and on the new sheet I click on load. So it's going to display just the connections on this part of the Power Query spreadsheet. So then when you place your mouse point on it, it brings out the sheet because you only said word connection. If I want to edit, you click on this. It will now open the Power Query editor whereby you can now edit the data. So either you do it this way by using a connection, but I don't need a connection. I wanted the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So I click on this, I click on it, I say don't save because I don't want it. Now this is a table. Now when you finish loading table into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, let's load another table into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. When we load data into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, now okay, let's load only this particular sheet. Now let's click on load. Either you click on load here or you click on that and click on load. The Power Query loads the data into the Excel spreadsheets. Now remember, I only have a connection here because this is not exactly what I wanted to do. So let's do this and let's go back. Let's repeat the action again. That's not exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to load the data directly into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So I click on this, I go to this and I click load to. Now I tell the Power Query where to load the data into a new worksheet. So I click on load. But when I click on load, it copies the data into the new worksheet. Now it copies the data into you. I already have some data here. So let me delete this. I don't want us to be confused with most of all this. Let me delete this as well. Okay, let's get a new Excel spreadsheet. I only want to load this. That's only what is selected. I click on this load tool. I only selected one worksheet and I click on that. See, Microsoft Excel only loads that particular worksheet into the spreadsheet. But when you click on this, it brings up the addition. So you can see it has already loaded into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Now when you see this loaded into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, this is the table names that's not there. All the sheets are empty. You can see Microsoft Excel begins the data from the name. You can see Microsoft Excel deletes the data from the name directly. But now, if I don't want Microsoft Excel to start from this particular point, I want the headings to appear. There's the column headings to appear. So what am I going to do? Let's Control N to bring a new spreadsheet. Go to Power Query, click on this and click on import. I double click on this. Now after having double clicked on that, I select I need a multiple sheets. I just pick on this. Now you can see I have column 1, I have this here. I have column 1, I have commission, I have bonus, first name, and I have a name of a person. But when you look at this other Microsoft Excel spreadsheet that we did, this last one, you can see Microsoft Excel started from this. There is no first name, there is no last name. Microsoft Excel just started from that and make use of a column. Column 1, now I can start giving names to this. I can start typing first name to this and type last name. But this is not exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to import the whole data into Microsoft Excel, including the column headers. So what am I going to do? I follow the same process. I double click on this. I click on I need the multiple sheets. I pick on this particular sheet I want to import. I click on this and I go to look to now. I want this to come out. I want this to come out. I want the first name to also appear. Now you can see my data slow down. So I have to go to this and I go to load to. I select where I want to load the data and I click on load. Well, now I click on the Microsoft Excel loads the data into the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, I have missed a particular step we ought to take. I missed a particular steps that we ought to take there. There is a particular step I missed. So let me delete this as well. I missed a particular step. Let's go through the process all over again. There's a particular step I missed. I missed a particular step there. So let's go back again. This time let's take it little. Let's do rush it this time around. Now, instead of me to go directly into load to, I'll click on the editor. When I click on the editor, I come to this. I'm going to tell Microsoft Excel to do certain things, and it use first rule as header. Let's go back to the transform tab. Use first rule as header. Use header as first rule. Now, I have this 2 here. Let me delete this 2. So let's go to this. We are going to remove those out of Microsoft Excel. We are going to remove those out. We're going to remove that. Okay, let's go to our home menu. Then let's go to remove rows. Now remove top rows. Now, how many rows do I want to remove? Number of rows 2. Click on OK. See, Microsoft Excel removes that. Now I can now come to transform and tell Microsoft Excel use first rule as header. So Microsoft Excel use that as header. Now what I need to do, once I'm done, I go to the home menu. I click on close and load, or close and load to. I tell Microsoft Excel I need to load it as a table, a new worksheet. I click on load. Now the very moment I do that, Microsoft Excel duplicate rows in Power Query. Though we can do it from this particular point and we won't duplicate rows, but before we put into our Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, we're going to remove the duplicate rows. Now let's load another data into the Excel spreadsheet. Let's go back to our Power Query menu. When you click on the Power Query menu, you go to From File. This time around, we're going to load the data. from, this is the data we are going to load. This is the data we are going to load. We are going to load this data from Excel workbook. So let's click on that and go to Power Query, from File, Import Data from Microsoft Excel workbook. Now I need this. Let's double click on that. Now in this Microsoft Excel workbook, when you can see the Excel sheets, I only have sheets here, but since it's Excel workbook, you are always given the opportunity to select multiple sheets. But in this particular case, there's no need for us to click on this and click on this to select multiple sheets. We can simply click on this and bring out the multiple sheets. Now you can see that you can bring out the data on the Microsoft Excel, since we have really a single sheet. Now you can see this particular data, and Microsoft Excel creates dish because of these columns that we have. There's nothing in. Now I can easily load the data into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, or I click on edit to edit the data. In other words, to prepare the data and transform the data, or to work on the data. Now I'm going to do some lot of things on this particular data. So let's start with the home menu. When I come to the home menu, there are a number of things we can do on the home menu. Now we can choose a column to keep, or we can choose a column to remove. Now let's assume I want to remove a particular column. All I need to do is to select that particular column. Let's assume I want to click over time, or I want to remove bonus. I click on that. I click on the home menu of the Power Query editor, and I click on remove column. But when I remove column, Microsoft Excel removes the column, and you can see Microsoft Excel removed that particular column. But if I tell now, we can cancel that. It brings us back to where we have formerly. But if I just tell Microsoft Excel that so removing the column, I highlighted this particular column. I tell Microsoft Excel, I tell the Power Query to remove other column. It automatically removes other column out from that. For we to get back to where we cancel this, and it takes us back to our original data. That's for the home menu. That's how to remove the column. So I want to remove this specific column of bonus. So let's go back to the home menu of the Power Query editor, and we click on that. We remove that particular column. Also, let me make use of this particular, and let me click choose column. Now you can see I still have some columns to remove: salary plus commission, column 4 and column 5. So let me make use of the other command of the Power Query editor. Choose column to keep. Click on that. Microsoft Excel tells me choose the column you want to keep. This all is selected. Now I want to keep column 1 and 2. All I need to do is to unselect this, or automatically I deselect all, and I click on keep column 1 and keep column 2. In other words, the other column should be deleted. Now you can see Microsoft Excel automatically deleted those particular columns. Now I want to remove the rows. Now keep rows. Which row do I want to keep? Which row do I want to remove? Now first of all, let me tell Microsoft Excel to keep row, keep the top row, keep the bottom row, keep range row. Now I click on that. Tell Microsoft Excel I wanted to keep rows, specify the range of rows to keep. Now I want to tell Microsoft Excel to keep first row and number of row. First row starts, let's say the first row should be, let's say 2. Click on that, type 2, and the number of rows I want Microsoft Excel to keep. Now you can see I have 97 here. I can simply tell Microsoft Excel, okay, keep first row 297 to 97, and I click on that. You see the first row, which is the second row, which is percentage. Microsoft Excel keeps that row. I told Microsoft Excel I want to keep this row up to that 97. Microsoft Excel just removed only one out of it. So that's how to make excuse me. So that's how to make use of that command in Power Query editor. Excuse me. Now I have other commands here: row to keep, row to remove. All the commands have the same thing. If I want to keep duplicates, I keep duplicate. Excuse me. Now let's go to remove. I want Microsoft Excel to remove this top row. I don't need this particular row, so I could simply tell Microsoft Excel remove that row. I don't want to keep the top row. Now how many rows? 1. Number of rows to remove. Microsoft Excel removes that. Now you can see the bottom of this data. I'm trying to clean the data. We have Jones, we have Steve, but those people have no value in that particular cell. So I want to remove that from that particular cell. All I need to do is to go back to the home menu of the Power Query Editor, and I click on remove. Now I want to remove bottom rows. How many? You see that we have 2 of them there. I click on that. Now when you move downward, you see both rows have been removed. When you click on this, you can see that the previous, you can see those rows, Steve and Jones, that is not there. We removed it. Now we're at this particular point. Now this first name, last name, salary. Now I want this first name, last name, salary to be my header, so we're still going to work on that. Now first and foremost, I'm like to see how to, okay, let's go to the transform menu, then we'll come back to that. First row, last row, I want it to be my header. We can come across that, use first row as header. Also in home menu, you can also see that particular command there by telling Power Query to use first row as header. So I'm telling Microsoft to use first row as header. Now you can see instead of column 1, column 2. Now previously we have this. Previously we have that. Previously I have column 1, column 2. I told Microsoft to make use of the first row 1 to be the header. So now we've gotten that. Now I can now sort this in ascending order or descending order. So let's click on ascending order. Now we can see we've sorted this in ascending order, but you can notice we have some duplicate values here. We have some duplicate values on this particular cell. You can see. So what am I going to do? I want to deal with the duplicate value. How do I do that? Okay, we want to remove duplicate values from those. So we go to the transform and we click on the particular column we want to remove the duplicate values from. Let's go to the transform menu and we can see that in the extract menu you can see removes duplicate value. So let's go to format menu. It's not even in the format menu as well. Okay, we're going to get where it is to remove the duplicate values now. Okay, let's quickly check, go back to the home menu because we want to remove the duplicate values from that particular column. Okay, we go to that, we go to the home menu. Under the reduce rows we can see duplicate values. So once you click on duplicate value, you can see some duplicate values here. We have Bassey, Christopher, Bassey, Christopher, Bassey, Christopher, Bassey, Christopher, Bassey, Christopher. We have Anufuro Thomas. Anufuro Thomas, we have that like up to 3 times. We have Chioke, Chigoze, and let's see, we still have some duplicate values here. You can see Baby Friday. We still have some duplicate values there. And we want Microsoft Excel to clean this particular data set, so we can use that. Go to the home menu, go to the reduce role group, and go tell Microsoft Power Query to remove duplicate value. Now you can see we only have one of this, and we can see we go to Friday Iberi, we can have one of those. I can have one of those. Now you can see all duplicate values are out. So formerly we have Basic Christopher, but when it comes to this, we only have one Basic Christopher, one Iberi Friday. So now we've done that. Let's clean this, and now you can see the first name, last name. We want to separate this particular column. So what do? I go to split column. Split column by delimiter. Now, how do I want to split column? Each occurrence on the deleter, leftmost deleter. If I should click on this and I click on OK, you can see Microsoft Excel actually deleted and separated the names, but you can see what's happening here. You see what's happening here. First name, last name, one. Microsoft Excel. Now you can see each deleter, because I used each deleter. Microsoft Excel divided it into 3. So that's not what I actually wanted to do. So now let's go to the home menu. I previously said use this as header. Now I want to okay, let's go to the home menu now. So we are dealing with this. Now I said I want to split the columns. So let's go back to quick split column by delimiter. Now I want to use the leftmost deleter. That one I want to use. And what type of deleter I want to use? Space. So in other words, when Microsoft Excel sees the space, it's going to separate those two words and make the second word to become a column. So like here we have up to 1, we have like up to like 3, the 2 space that created 3 that could use to be used as 3 columns. That is what Microsoft Excel gave us our previous output. That's why the Power Query editor gave us a previous output. But this way, time around, I just want to use the data and I'm interested in using space. In other words, the Power Query should, after the first name, there will be a space. After that space, the Power Query editor should create a column. Divide those words into the number. And I said the leftmost. In other words, I'm only interested in the first part of it. So I click on OK. Now you can see that only the left is used as that. Now you can see Kenneth C. You can see that Power Query makes use of that. Now I have a node here. Now you can see these two names are already together. So I can now edit this. I go to home menu. I'm going to tell replace value. Now I want Power Query to replace this value of for Emmanuel with Emmanuel. And click on OK. Now you can see that's done that. Now this I want to replace that to afford. So click that. I want Power Query not to afford. So I click on OK. Power Query Editor actually does that. Now I'm done with that. Now this particular days I don't need first name, but I need first name and last name. So we are going to do that now. So let's try to change the name for this. You can see a node value here. I thought we did this. Okay, let me repeat that. I mistakenly clicked something. Okay, I will click on OK. Now we've done that, you can see that that has replaced that particular name in that. Okay. Now what I want to do is this. I want to change this name. Now to change the name for this first row, for the first row, we will do this. We use header as first row. Now the header becomes the first row. To be easier for us to change now. So we come to this, click on the home menu and go to the transform group and click on replace header as first row. I use the shift key of my keyboard to select and press Ctrl X to cut and click on OK. Now replace first name as first name. Okay, now let's do the same thing here. Now you can see when I cut and paste, the Power Query editor did not accept that last name. So this is an advanced option of it. Match entire cells, replace using special card. Now if I should see match entire cells, wherever the Power Query sees such, it's going to change it. Okay, I'm going to choose this picture for you to understand what I'm talking about. Okay, let's just click on that and click on OK. Now I'm done with that. Now let's go back to this. Go to the home menu and click use first role as header. Now that first row now become header, first name, last name. Now what I was trying to tell us the other time is this. This was the case where we have duplicate row. We have David here. Now in case I have David here and I want to change, I have Anthony. Okay, I have David here. I want to change this this surname of David. I come to the home menu, I click on replace. I have said okay. Now Microsoft is telling me that if I want to add a step that might cause my table to break. Now replace. Now I want to replace this Egerton to something like Egerton. Now when I come to advanced, I tell the Excel to match entire cells and click on OK. Now you can see wherever the Power Query sees David, it replaces it with Egerton. Anywhere it sees that name David, wherever that name David appears, it replaces the last name with Egerton. So let me cancel this. Yeah, I want to delete it off. I only did that to explain something to us. Okay, now this is where we are. Now we have the first name and we have the last name. We have a salary. So we can still transform our data. And let's see the text type. Let's come to this. Salary, let's come to this. Decimal is already decimal. If I want to change this to a whole number, I click on whole number. Excel automatically. The selected column has an existing type conversion. Would you like to replace the existing conversion or preserve the existing conversion and add a new conversion as a separate step? So I could say replace current conversion. When I replace current, Microsoft, the Power Query changed that to a whole number and the decimal number is off. Now if I should cancel this, it brings that. So I could also decide to do it this way. I go to the transform menu. I go to the number column group and I click on this. So I click on round and I try to round that up. Automatically the Power Query rounds up the figure and it becomes a whole number. I can decide to leave it this way. Now I can decide to add a column. And I decide to add a column here by click. I can decide to add additional columns. Let's go to the transform menu. I don't want to go to add column. We can use the add column. Okay, we can use the add column to separate. Okay, we can add additional column using the add column. Now I want to add an additional column, but I don't want to use this first. I'm coming to that. I want to add an additional column. I'm coming, I want to add an additional, but I don't want to use that particular command. There's a particular command I want to use in order to keep. Let's go to transform and we click on this. Insert. Okay, click on that and we go to home menu. I will go to transform menu and we click on rename. We click on rename. We can also use a last name. Okay. Insert. Now I can decide to delete this. Okay. We're going to edit that now. So let's just keep deleting. Though I've explained all that, let's just keep deleting that. I've explained all that. We should understand this. Okay, round up now. Okay, let's leave it this way. Now we've done that, we've rounded up that. Now we'll use this. Okay, there's something I wanted to do. I wanted to add a column. I wanted to add a column before I went to that particular place. I wanted to add a column. Okay, we can split the column which we've said that. We'll go to the transform menu. Okay, let me use the hard column to save our time. Column from example, column from selection. Now if I should select a particular desk, let me show you how this works. If I select last name here and I click on the transform menu and I set an add column and I say column from example, column from selection. Once I click on this, it automatically, if I should say OK. Now enter sample value of the table to create. All I need to do is to click on this and I type a name Ajayi for instance and click on OK. The Power Query editor simply fills this table with this. So once I click Ctrl plus the enter key, Ctrl plus the enter key. Okay, let's repeat the action again. Now I go to the add column. I click add from selection. Now I have that. All I need is to type and press the Ctrl plus enter to apply. Ctrl key plus enter key on your keyboard to apply that. Now the reason why we're having issue with this is that you can see the first name Ajayi here, but it's Aganama. And the Power Query is telling us to please enter more samples values. So let's just simply replace that by Aganama. When we replace that by Aganama, press Ctrl Enter. Now, okay, let's cancel this and let's repeat the process again. We go to hard column, click select from selection, and the first. So let me select this, the column I'm selecting, add column from selection, and I type Aganama. Now you can see that Aganama. All I need is Control Enter. You can see the Power Query automatically fills the order where you can see Ajayi, you can see Anthony, and so on. When I click OK, the Power Query simply fills that and create another column, but I'm not interested in doing this, so let me cancel that because I don't want to duplicate the column. Now, because we can simply see the duplicates here, we can see the duplicate in the transform if we want to duplicate the column or we want to duplicate a row. Okay. Yes, duplicate, remove duplicate, and then add duplicate. Now let's go to additional column. That's not exactly what I wanted to do. Now this other one is from all columns. When we click from all column, Power Query simply add that from all columns. But when I use this Ganama, I press Ctrl and enter the power and click OK. You can see it automatically fills that, but that's not what I'm interested in. So let's go back. So let's go to add column. Click on column to add. Let's call that commission and click on OK. Now let's do some transformation. Let's add some column to this particular data. Let's say you want to add column. Let's look at adding a column. Now when you go to this, when you click on that add column menu of the Power Query editor, you click on column from example. Now if I say column from all columns, the Power Query editor will produce all those columns. Now if I want to say from this, now the first name, I double click on that. But when I press Ctrl Enter, press the Ctrl key, you can see enter sample values to create a new column. Press Ctrl plus the Enter key of the keyboard. Automatically Power Query editor creates that column, and I click on OK. That column is automatically what created. Now, but that's not what I want to do. Okay, there is something else again. If we decide to click from selection, for instance, if we happen to select if we're using this from all selection. Now from all selection, if I want to start from this, I can click from, I type the first, but when I type, I double click on that and press the Ctrl key of the keyboard and press enter, click OK, it automatically displays there. But now let's quickly delete that off. Now let's look at this particular command. This is a custom column. When you click on that, it tells you help you to add column using a formula. What formula you want to use to add a column? We decide to click on this, you click insert. Is it that the new column you want to enter? What's the name of the column? Let's assume this is a new salary level. You click on that. So instead, as there's a formula, and click on OK. It automatically shows here. But now, this new salary level, what are you going to do with it? We have some other things. We are coming to that, so let's just cut this off. That is how that command works. Now, let's see conditional column. We want to create a column by condition. Now we can call this, let's assume a bonus is given to the customer in this month of October, because many companies now are giving bonuses to their staffs, the Xmas bonus. Now let's say if the salary is less than 150,000 naira, the bonus on that column should be 2,500. That's the bonus package. Let's do additional row. If we don't want additional row, we can simply click for the rest staff that their salary is above 150,000 naira. Their bonus package is 5,000 naira. When we do that, we click on OK. When we click on OK, you can see once the salary is less than 150,000 naira, you can see the Power Query editor put the bonus of 2,500. But once it's greater than 150,000 naira, it's 5,000 naira. But I don't want to do that. Let's double click on this. Now let's come here. Let's call this the Xmas bonus package. Okay. Now let's add additional row. Let's say, okay, if the salary is, the value of the salary is greater than Let's say if it's greater than 300,000, then what are you going to add? We're going to give an output of 7,500. Now, so otherwise return 5,000. In other words, if the salary is less than 150, Power Query should return 2005. But if the salary is greater than 300,000, it should be 7,500. But if the salary is between 150,000 to 300,000, Power Query should return 5,000 as the bonus package. Now you can see once the salary is greater than 150 is 2005. Once the salary is greater than 300,000 is 7,500. But once the salary is between 150,000 to 300,000, Power Query will put 5,000 naira. Okay, now let's see look at one or two things we can do there. Now we can also duplicate columns. We can click on this and duplicate the column. Now when we click on that, that duplicates the column. We can come here. When we come on that, that duplicates the column. Then we can call that we can call that commission. Okay, now let's assume the commission for each staff was 1% of their salary. So we can do that here by coming here, multiply by 1%, 0.01. So enter a number by which to multiply each value in the column. So each value in this particular column, this particular commission column, is multiplied by 1%. So let's bring it here. So that should be the commission. So let me delete this again. Now the duplicate value, this copy value now. Let me delete the duplicate column. Okay, fine. I want to get the commission column. I click on this. I go to this. And I click on multiply. Now, what I want to do, the commission for each is 1%. The commission for each staff is 1% of their salary. So I've gotten 1% of the salary. Then I can call that commission. How what you need to do, you have to go to the transform menu and type commission. Now that's the Xmas bonus and we have the commission. Now the next thing again we want to do, to see what would be the salary for each staff for that particular month. So we can come here and say we need salary of staffs for that particular month. Enter a number to add to each value in the column. Now I'm coming to that. Let's say one or two things here. Okay, we can still work with this particular column. I can do one or two things there. I can change all to uppercase. You can see that all is now uppercase. But let me delete this. Let's change the surname all to uppercase. Now the last name. So we can simply change this and call that last name, and we can delete. Now a column name last name already exists. That's what it's telling me. So I can simply delete this first. I can simply delete that first before before renaming that particular column. Okay. Then this first name, we can still do some transformation with that. And besides, so each word is already capitalized. You can still decide to change it to small case. Now it is a small case. We can click and drag. So we can see that all what we need is to delete this. Come to the transform menu, click on this. Sorry, we have to delete that. Go to the home menu and click on remove. Now we can simply change this by going to the transform menu, click on rename and call that first name. Okay, now we're done with that. The next thing we want to look at is trim. Now if your data has a space, you can decide to trim it, you can decide to capitalize each word, you can decide to trim the data. In case most time when you are importing, there will be some space between some words, so it helps you to trim that particular data. So it trims it, but in this particular case, the text of each name is already in order, so there is no need to trim that data. So the normal things you can do, you can decide to do a clean up that particular data. So let's do that. So this is how to prepare your data after inserting your data into the. So there's a number of transformation we can do. Also in this particular case, you can decide to look for the length. Now the length of this particular column, you can see that. Now you can see how many letters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 7 letters. So you can extract the length for each of those, but I don't want to do that. And also we can do a number of things here. We can also look for extract the first character. Now how many letters in the first character? Let's assume I only need 1. Click on OK. You can see that from the first character. You can see that, but I'm not interested in all this. But we can also do a number of things here. Click on the add column menu, go to and you can extract last character and you write the number of characters, let's assume 3, and you click on OK. You can see it brings that. That's the last 3. So there's a number of things we can decide to do here. So we can do that in a number of things we can decide to do. Yeah, okay. Now also, okay, let's quickly delete this off. Now this particular side is called apply steps. Each steps that is taken in transformation of your data, the Power Query records each step, and you can see each step that is being used to record your data. Remember, I separated these 2 columns. Now press the shift key of your keyboard. I click on this, press on the shift key of your keyboard, and I clicked on this. So Let's just see as if we want, let's assume we want to merge these two columns. Now, how do we want to merge the column? Currently, we have none. How do we want to merge it? By separate. Okay, we will leave the case of none. You see what is going to give to us. You see, Power Query Editor merged it without separating the first name and the last name. So what are we going to do? So let us delete that. That's not exactly what we want to do. So let's assume that I later changed my mind. I want to merge the two columns. I want the first name and the last name to be on the same column. And I want it to be separated by the space. So I do that and I click on OK. So that's how you merge column in Power Query Editor. All then I need to do is to go to my transform menu and change the name of that column. Rename that column by writing full names. Okay, that's that. But I'm not interested in that. I want to leave it this way, so I can simply cut it off because I'm not interested in it. Okay, that's how to add the column. Okay, that's how to merge the column. Okay, we've done a number of things here. Commission, Xmas bonus. Now let's assume I want to add all this together. Okay, that's what I was saying previously. That we clicked, I click on and I click on add value we want to add on each columns. Okay, now the very moment I clicked on each of those columns, Power Query Editor add all the particular columns together. Now, okay, let's go back again. All I did was to click on the salary column, press on the shift key of your keyboard, and click on the header of each of these columns. And I come to this, I say add column. I click on add. But when I click on add, the Power Query Editor automatically has all that. All I need to do is to rename that particular column and call that total salary. So the total salary includes the commission and the Xmas bonus. That gets the total salary for each of the staff for this particular company. I'm really not really interested in this that I can decide to delete this off. I don't want the total salary. I keep that off. I'm not really interested in total salary. Let's assume I want to calculate something else. I can decide to duplicate this column. I have a salary column, and I decide to multiply the salary column by a specific value. We've done that before, whereby I use 0.71. I can say 1%. Whereby we got the value of this commission. Okay, fine, we've already done that. We've already done something on that. So we can also use the Power Query Editor. It's a very powerful tool for data analysis. It helps you to transform your data. I can decide to round up this data now. I can decide to round it. If I want to round it up or round it off, let me click on round up. It rounds up the data. You can see the salary and you can see the rounded up value. You can see, okay, this is for the commission, sorry. It rounded up the commission value, so I can simply delete this and then I go to, I rename that particular column as commission. So all what I need to do is to rename that as a true commission. Then all I need to do, click somewhere else, you are dragging to this point. Now this is when I want to delete, I click on this to remove rows. But when I click on remove row, Power Query Editor will remove this particular row that is selected, that is highlighted. But when I click on this other option, it removes the other rows off and leave only the selected rows. So let's cancel keep up this. It brings us back to our data. So now there's a number of things you can do with the Power Query Editor. You can do a lot of things there. You can add, you can subtract, you can do a lot of things there. You can do some also statistics there. Okay, around you can do a lot of statistics with that. Now you see this is active. Now I can decide to sum up all this and get the sum. I can decide to get the average. I can decide to whatever I want to do, I can decide to do that. So I can decide to sum up and I have a sum. I can decide to look for the standard deviation. I can decide to look for the minimum value and the maximum salary for the work, the staff. So that's how we can work with that. For instance, if I want to sum up, I light all this. I click on add column and I go to this. I simply click on sum. It sums it up and give me an additional word column for that. Okay, let's quickly delete that. Then view, we can do a number of things there. I can click on this, it removes it collapses the formula bar. Then when I click on that, it brings out the same formula bar, similar formula bar we have in Microsoft Excel. They will show the white space is off. The moment I click on that, the white space comes back into play. You can see the white space here. The moment I click on it, it comes back in. Okay, now this is a query dependency. We've did a number of steps. Once you click on this, you can see your query loaded to worksheet. Now also, let me see one or two things we can do here. Now we can change this is a commission. We can change our data. Now this particular data, we are dealing with text. This is a data type. This is a whole number. Because we have a whole number there, I can change to decimal value. This to decimal value, but we don't have a decimal value here, so that's why it takes here. Okay, let's see if we can get a decimal value somewhere. Now this is a decimal value here. This is a decimal value. So when you go to this, you see the data type is always telling you is decimal number. You can also change that to a whole number if you want to. You can simply click here also. Instead of, remember previously we went to this and we click on round-up, we change that to whole number. We can simply do that here by changing the data type, and we turn that to whole number, or we want to turn it to the currency. Power Query Editor does that, and we get the whole number. This is rounded up. Okay, let's go back to this. Let's call that. I want to make the whole number, and it's there. Okay. Now we've seen that we've touched almost everything here. If not all, this is the duplicated column which we've used. Then the transform. Now let's look at the transpose and the reverse rule. We have to look at the transpose, we have to look at the reverse rule. And let's go to the home menu. Let's see. There's one of two things. Also, we are going to look at merge queries and append. Okay, we are going to look at merge queries and append queries, but rather say we are going to look at how we can merge and how we can combine data together in Power Query. In our Power Query, how we can merge code data and how we can combine data together. So we are going to look at that, but let's quickly look at that, how we can transpose and reverse a column. So we're quickly going to load the new data and see how that works.
So let's quickly load this data. Go to home menu. Since we are done transforming this particular data, go to the home menu, click on close and load, or close and load, in order to load it to a new Excel spreadsheet. Now when we want to load it, we want to load the data to a table on a new table. Once to add it to the data model, we click on that and we click on load. When we click on load, the Power Query editor loads the data on our Excel spreadsheet, and we can see the new data on our Excel spreadsheet. Now it's telling me new data to this particular fields, so I'm not really interested in that on the data model, but let's leave this. Okay, now you can see our data on our new Excel spreadsheet. We now have the data there on the new Excel spreadsheet. So let's see how we can do that. But before, quickly see how we can merge and append data in Microsoft in Power Query. How we can use the merge and the append, and how we can use the append. Now first and foremost, the append command, we need to import the files we want to merge into the Excel spreadsheet. Click on that. When we click on that, we select where the file is located on. Mine is located on this folder on my desktop. And first and foremost, want to append. Look at append, the first part of it. I name it append. Power Query simply loads that and brings up the Power Query editor. I just want to load it, so I load it to new or existing Excel worksheet. Click on load. Now make I load the data into the Power Query editor. The Power Query editor. The next thing I need to do is to go to the Power Query, and I click on the merge. I click on this. When I go to this append, you can see append this, and what is the second data I want to append? See, the second data is not showing. Now, for me, the second data to show, all I need to also load the second data into the Power Query editor. And also in this Power Query editor, I double click on that. So now let me load the second data. I go through the same process, double click on that, and then go to append the second part. I go through the same process. I load that into the Power Query editor, and then click on load. Now you can see I have column 1, so I have to remove that from a Power Query. I simply launch the Power Query editor. I want to remove this. Go to the home menu, and let's remove that row, remove top row. 1. Okay, let's change this to use first row as header. That makes that as header. Then we go to we're done with that, so let's go to the second. Okay, let's do the same thing. Let's launch the editor. Now let's look at merging of queries or merging of data together. We can merge queries, we can also merge data together. Making use of this append, the merge and the append command of the Power Query. This is a very powerful tool in the Power Query. You can use to join two or more tables together. Now, the first thing you have to load the data into Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So let's see, let's click on the File menu and click on that. Now I want to merge. Now let's use this. I name my file, the file name I want to append together. I call that append first part and append second part. So you can see that's the CSV file. Now I load that into the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. You can see the number of that. Let me click on load. I want to load it on a new Excel worksheet. Okay, now see Power Query load that data into a new worksheet. Now you can see how many it is. That is up to 72. Okay, now what I want to now do is this. Let's go to the Power Query. Let's double click that. This column, I want to use a transform. So let's go to Home menu and let's go to use first row as header. Use first row as headers. Now, then we can now go back to the Home menu. We can close and load. Now we've done that. Now this name, we can simply do that here into the Power Query. Let's quickly do that. Let's go to the file. Now, when you want to combine or when you want to combine find in Power Query, combining find in Power Query means you could either merge the file or you could either append the file. So if you whatever file you want to do, make sure that whatever file you want to merge or append, make sure that the files are the same type. My first type of file that I loaded was a CSV file. So I'm going to upload another CSV file. Now, this was the first part I uploaded. Now, this is the second CSV file. So I want to append this file. Now you're going to see the second one. You can see the number I have. Let's click on that and load to a new Excel spreadsheet. It brings out the load to dialog box. I change the name for the particular table at that particular point. I then change the name at that particular place. Now it's because since I didn't change the name on this editor, that is why it didn't recognize the data at that particular site. So let's click these names. So once your column names are not the same, you can see the error we have. Power Query just use the merge command instead of the append command. So now let's go back. Let's use the append command. Now I want to append the first part and the second part. Click on OK. Now the moment I do that, the Power Query now merge both. Now you can see everything is now in two columns. Why? Because the column names are now the same thing. All I need to do is to click on Home menu, load, close and load. That loads it into the Power Query, into the Excel spreadsheet. Now you can see the number of now if we want to append a similar thing, we go through similar process. Click on the Power Query menu, then go to the File menu. We click on the file we want to merge. So sorry, now I want to combine these two parts. Now this is an Excel spreadsheet. Combine 1 and combine 2. Let me click this first combine second part. Now Excel asks which of the sheets do you want to open. Now you can see the salary where it stops. There's nothing in that sheet. So
If you want to load everything into Microsoft Excel, you select that. But if I don't want to load all the sheets into Microsoft Excel, I only want to load sheet 1, I only select sheet 1. If I select sheet 1 and sheet 2, Microsoft Excel only load sheet 1 and sheet 2. So let's say load 2. So I can go into a new workbook. Okay, now I don't want connection, I need the table. So the load to dialog box appears. I want to select how you want to view this data in your workbook table, and I want it to be a new workbook. So that will load it on the new workbook. Now is going. Okay, now we can see that there. Now you can see sheet 1, you can see sheet 0. Can you see that? So what are we going to do with this? Let's delete this. I don't want to edit it. So we click on that sheet 1. So let's load the other. Let's quickly load the other Excel spreadsheet. Okay, that is not actually what I even wanted to do. Let's delete this. I don't really want. Let me load another data. Let's click on this. Now merge. Now you can now see I have first name, last name, and salary. Okay, let's click on edit. Let's make the first row to become header. Okay, now let's say close and load. Now Power Query simply load that. Now this Power Query loading this. Now let's see my first row. Now I only have salary column here. Now let me load another one into the Power Query. Recall we are loading I'm loading a CSV file. Okay, this is the second one I want to load. Now take note. Now I have first name, I have last name, just like the first table I loaded. I have first name, I have last name. But the top column I have salary, but here I have commission. So I want to merge these two together. I don't want to append it. I want to merge these two together. So now what I want to do, let's quickly edit that. Let's click the edit to open the edit tool. Now I want to make first row as header. Okay, now let's make the first row to be header. Use first row as header. Remember this command use first row as header. We can see it here, and also we can either go to the transform menu and do same thing. So let's click on the home tab or the home menu, close and load. Now I have two data on Microsoft Excel. Now the thing, what I need to do is that I want to merge. I can now go to my Power Query editor. I can now click on merge. All I need to do is to tell Microsoft Excel which data do I want to merge and which data now. Now I want the one with the salary first. Merge salary full. Then I want to merge it with that of the commission. Now Excel will now have the, how do you want to merge? I need left outer join. Now I have first name here, I have first name here. You can see the first name at the same time. We have Aganama, Ajayi, and Tuni. Aganama, Ajayi, and Tuni. They follow serially. So I can tell the Power Query, use this first row and this first row. So you see both rows are similar. Or I can tell Power Query, use this last name, that's the second row and the second row. See, both are similar. What Power Query is going to do, Power Query is going to look at the first name in this place and check for the first name that is here and bring out the value for the salary and bring out the value for the commission. That's what Power Query is going to do. Even if the names on this particular rows are not the same. For instance, if this Ajanama is here and this one is here, Ajayi is here, as long as this last name follows the same order, I can use that as my join. So all I need to do is to click OK. But let's leave this for the time being. Let's just double click this now and bring out the editor. Now when I bring out this editor, we want to merge our queries. Remember, we want to merge our queries. So now that we want to merge this query, I can use this. To load data into the Power Query. That's what I want to show us. I can use this to load data into the Power Query. These are other ways to load data into the Power Query. So I can simply click on this and I go to File. I load data into the Power Query instead of going through File to load data into the Power Query. Okay, let me continue what I wanted to do. Okay, let's go to the merge. Full salary, commission, or let's use the first name and click on OK. The Power Query simply merge these two data together. You can see first name, last name, salary, and what? Merge commission. So let's double click on this. Let's expand this. On split expand, we click on OK. Now you can see we've successfully merged first name, last name, salary. The merge.column, first name, last name, and you can see the commission. So what we need to do is to delete what we don't want. That's what we need to do. Just delete it off. So we can just remove the column. I can decide to remove this. Go to remove column. Then I name this the first name. Okay. Let's quickly rename that and we call that first name, but first name, last name. Let's remove this also. Okay, now let's rename this first name, last name. Go to transform menu. Any group, let's call that now. So we have first name, last name, so we can drag this and place it here. First name, last name. We can also rename this to the commission. So we've gotten this now. Now, once you're done with that, you click on the home menu, you click on close and load. Now you can see the data. So go to the Power Query. We can remove the span. It's no longer there. If you want it back, you click on Show Pan. Okay, now I wanted to do something formally. Okay, okay. We can still merge this again. Let's bring out this. What I wanted to do before. Wanted to show something. Now I'm going to click on New Source. Now we can also merge this through this way. Can merge query here. Can also decide to append queries here. So if I want to merge queries here, I click on this, click on merge queries. Now when I click on merge query, okay, yeah, this is the option we ought to choose. So we go to merge queries as new query. That's the option we need to pick, and commission. Okay, we missed a step in the last one. The step we missed was we didn't select the column to join. That was why the OK was not active. Okay, now we can see that we can also use that method to actually join other thing, or we can actually join to append data. Now we can see it on this. There are different queries on this, so you can now load, load and close and load. Now we have pivot table here. Pivot table is a very powerful tool to do in Microsoft Excel. Now you will know how to work on this. I'm going to leave that for you to do. Now also there's another powerful tools in Microsoft in this Power Query we can do. We can have that of reverse rows and columns. Let's quickly look at that before I wrap up this lecture. So let's see how we can use one other tool of the Power Query. Let's import from Excel sheet now. Okay, let's do it this way. Let me double click on this. Let's expand this. Expand is selected. Okay, and we click on load. Close and load. Okay, let's press the shift key of the keyboard and let's delete that. Go to Power Query. Press the shift key of the keyboard and select the heading. Then go to the home menu and let's go to delete columns. Okay, now we've done that, then we can rename this. Let's see, quickly rename that as commission. Now let's close that. Okay, before we close, now click on this. Okay, now let's go to this new source. I want to load another data from Microsoft Excel. Now this is from the Excel file. I want to load this. Go to import. I will type the name, the file name. Click on open and you load the data. Very well, we load the data. The Power Query will ask us which of the sheet we want to load. So let's choose the sheet we want to load. Okay, this is the sheet I actually want to load. So let's click on this and let's now let's use this. Okay, now what I want to show is this. I want to touch something on this. Now when we look at this, we have this. Okay. Use first rule as header. Okay, now probably I've used the first rule as header. What I need to do, I want to transpose. Now you can see we have south, east, west, north, and we can see how it's being displayed. Now I want to tell Power Query to use the for here. We do the reverse, and it reverse that. That's for reverse. But if we don't want reverse, we did the transposed. We can do the transposed again and bring the table back to its original format. Now remember we have the region, and we can change this and rename it here region. Okay, let's load the Power Query. Let's go to the Power Query. Let me show you one or two things before we